Hey everyone, guess what? July 10th isn't just some random day in the middle of summer vacation. Nope, it's actually packed with some super cool stuff from history. I bet you thought it was only good for popsicles and running through sprinklers. Well, think again, because this day has seen some wild things happen. You probably wouldn't even believe me if I told you, but I'm going to tell you anyway. So buckle up, because history can be way more exciting than a double dog dare. Even more exciting than finding an extra chicken nugget in your meal. So, what's the big deal about July 10th? Well, for starters, did you know it's often smack dab in the middle of some serious heat waves? Okay, that's not exactly but it's a good reminder to stay cool while we learn. Imagine trying to make history when you're all sweaty and gross. Yuck. But brave people did. They didn't let a little or a lot of sun stop them from doing awesome things, or maybe some not-so-awesome things that still ended up in the history books. That's how history works, I guess. Someone does something and bam, it's history. Think about all the July 10ths that have ever happened. That's a lot of days. And on some of those days, super important things went down. Things that changed the world, or at least made people go, whoa. We're talking about brand new states popping up on the map. We're talking about stuff getting launched into space. Yes, actual space. Can you imagine? One minute you're eating cereal, the next minute something is zooming off the planet. That's the kind of cool stuff we're digging into. You might be thinking, history? Sounds like homework. But trust me, this isn't like your boring textbook. This is the fun version. The version where you can imagine yourself right there, watching it all happen. Maybe you'd even be a part of it. Like, what if you were there when they decided to make a whole new state? Would you have suggestions for the state flag? I know I would. It would definitely have a slice of pizza on it, or maybe a video game controller. That's what makes history fun to think about. Okay, first up on our July 10th historical hit list. Way back in 1890, on this very day, something huge happened in America. Imagine a giant map of the United States, but with a big empty spot. Well, on July 10th, 1890, that spot got filled. The state of Wyoming officially joined the USA. How cool is that? It became the 44th state. That means there were already 43 other states. Wyoming was like the new kid in class, but for states. And everyone was probably super excited to meet it. Now, Wyoming wasn't just any old place. It was famous for cowboys, and mountains, and big, wide-open spaces where you could ride your horse for days. Probably, I bet there were tons of bison roaming around too, like huge, fluffy cows. Imagine being one of the first people to say, yep, this cool place with all the cowboys and mountains, it's a state now. That's a pretty big deal. It's like when your treehouse finally gets a no grown-ups allowed sign, official business. Think about the party they must have had. Maybe they had a giant barbecue, or a rodeo, with cowboys doing cool tricks on their horses. I bet they were all cheering and waving flags. Becoming a state meant they got more say in how things were run in the country. It was like leveling up in a video game, but for a whole giant piece of land. Pretty awesome, right? And it all happened on July 10th. So next time you see Wyoming on a map, you can say, hey, I know your birthday. And here's a super interesting fact about Wyoming. It was the first state to give women the right to vote. Even before it officially became a state, when it was just a territory, they were already way ahead of the game. So, when Wyoming joined the USA on July 10th, it brought that awesome rule with it. That's like bringing the best snack to the party. Everyone wants to be friends with the state that brings good ideas. So Wyoming wasn't just new, it was a trailblazer. All thanks to a decision made official on July 10th. Fast forward a bit from cowboys and new states. Let's zoom into the future. Or well, what the future back then. On July 10th, 1962, something totally out of this world happened. Literally, scientists and smarty-pants engineers launched a satellite called Telstar 1 into space. Whoosh! Up it went, into the great black beyond. Can you imagine seeing that? A real rocket, blasting off, carrying a metal ball full of wires and gadgets. It sounds like something from a comic book, but it was real. Now, Telstar 1 wasn't just any old satellite, it was super special. It was the world's first communication satellite. That's a fancy way of saying it could send and receive signals all by itself. And what kind of signals, you ask? Television signals, and telephone calls, and even fax messages, which were like emails but printed on paper. Imagine sending a TV show across the ocean, bounced off a thing in space. Before Telstar, that was just science fiction stuff, like flying cars or robot butlers. This was a huge deal. Think about it. Suddenly, people in America could watch live TV from Europe, and people in Europe could watch live TV from America. It was like the whole world got a little bit smaller and a whole lot more connected. All because of this amazing satellite launched on July 10th. Maybe the first thing they broadcast was someone waving hello, or maybe it was a really important news report, or maybe just a cartoon. Whatever it was, it traveled through space. How cool is that? So thanks to Telstar and the clever folks who launched it on this day, we started getting live pictures from all over the planet. It was the beginning of the global village, where news and entertainment could zip around the world in seconds. It's kind of like how you can video call your grandma, who lives far away. Telstar was like the great-great-grandpa of that technology, and it all started with a big launch on July 10th. Pretty mind-blowing if you ask me. Space TV. Who would have thought? All right, let's talk about something a little fizzier. This one happened on July 10th, 1985, and it involves something many kids and grown-ups love: soda, specifically Coca-Cola. Earlier that year, the Coca-Cola company did something crazy. They changed the recipe for Coke. They called it New Coke. And guess what? People hated it, like really hated it. Imagine your favorite ice cream suddenly tasting like broccoli. That's how people felt. It was a disaster. People were so upset, they wrote angry letters. They made protest signs. They booed New Coke commercials. It was a whole soda rebellion. Everyone just wanted their old Coke back, the taste they knew and loved. It was like their best friend had moved away and been replaced by someone who looked similar but was totally different. And not in a good way. The company must have been sweating bullets, or sweating soda maybe. It was a total mess, believe me. So what happened on July 10th, 1985? The Coca-Cola company finally listened. They announced they were bringing back the original formula. Hooray! People were so happy, you would have thought they won the lottery. They called it Coca-Cola Classic. And it was a massive relief. It was like the whole country could finally relax and enjoy their favorite drink again. This just goes to show, sometimes old things are the best things, and that companies should probably listen to their customers, especially when their customers are really thirsty. So July 10th isn't just about states and satellites. It's also about righting wrongs, even if that wrong is a terrible soda recipe. It's a day for cowboys, for space TV, and for getting your favorite drink back. See? I told you July 10th was a pretty cool day. From Wyoming joining the party, to Telstar beaming shows from space, to Coca-Cola fixing a bubbly mistake. It's a day full of surprises. So next July 10th, remember all this wild stuff, and maybe have a Coke. The classic kind, of course.